Good morning, good morning, good morning. You know what today is? Monday morning chats with Sack. Sack is me. I just want to say like a little disclaimer. So for those that have been watching, thank you so much for your support. I greatly appreciate it. Probably 90% of the time, I am not dressed up. This is me in my rawest form, and I encourage you to be comfortable in your rawest form. I'm going to the gym. So Mondays is Monday morning chats, therapy, in the gym, and then work. So this is just me. So I just hope and pray that you embrace the person that you see when you look in the mirror. I have no makeup on. I decided to put some earrings on, but this is just me, just a FYI. But I had a good week, right? I had a good week. Last week, a group of my colleagues, we decided to be each other's accountability partner because Lord knows I'm working on this article and it has to get done, right? It has to get done no matter what. So we've been doing Zoom meetings. And when I first got into the legal academy, I used to say, well, why do we need to get on Zoom to write an article? But then I realized that when you are in community with other people, it really holds you accountable and it can encourage you and it can really push you. So I see how much I am productive when I write by myself. Now, there's sometimes I do write and research by myself, but when I'm in community with other people, it's like a different feeling. And I'm so appreciative of it, just so appreciative of it. But this week, it was a good week, and I think God revealed a lot of things to me. But one of my girlfriends, who's also a lawyer too, colleague as well, she celebrated her birthday Thursday, and we went to the Pentry in Baltimore, Sagamore Pentry in Baltimore, and it was great. We had a great time. Apparently, there was another event hosted by Lobos Tequila, and most of the stuff was free. We didn't even know. And so the bartender was like, what do you want? I'm like, okay, sure. I'll open my tab. And he's like, don't worry about the tab. Just tip me if you can. I'm like, why not? Such a good night. But it was great being around new energy. And that's one thing that I prayed for to God. I was like, God, I love my friends. I love my family members. But if there's stagnant energy around me, like, please remove it and replace it with something better. And I'm here to tell you, like, to really be careful what you pray for because you will get it. And that's what God has been doing. Like, he's been replacing people, like better people in my life. And it's so refreshing, right? It's so refreshing. And sometimes I had to sit back and think, like, wow, I wish we could have hung out years ago. I wish I could have met you years ago. But I just think at this present moment in my life, in this chapter in my life, if I had to label this with one word, it would be intentional. Being intentional with the connections, friends, or if it's a romantic lover, like being intentional with that, being intentional with the words that I say to myself, because that inner voice is important. Being intentional with the places that I go, right? Being intentional with that. Being intentional with the jobs that I decide. Is this in line with my purpose? Is this in line with the life that I'm trying to create for myself? And so if you take time for yourself and you are in deep moments, I want you to ask yourself the things that you are doing, right? Whatever you're doing, you had to ask yourself, is this really in line with the life that I'm trying to create for myself? And then I went to an event. It was called Waiting to Excel. It was for women. It was a wellness event. We talked about the importance of self-care and just all type of things. We had to dress up in bright colors. So I dressed up in bright pink. And it was great. And I got a chance to meet so many amazing, positive women. And I'm like, wow. So people were coming up to me like, wow, I can't wait for you to be my friend. And it was just great. And I just look forward to establishing those relationships with those women that I've met. And I just look forward to, just new connections and just being around positive Black women, just being around that. And then I got a chance to go to a new restaurant, Blue Moon Cafe, and I got a chance to try their French toast, their pina colada French toast. It was so good. It was so good. And then so random. So once a month I try to go to Annapolis to go to Cooper Hawks. I have a membership there, and I use that as a day to just deep reflection and, spend some time with me, because I like to date myself. And so after church was amazing, right? My pastor is doing a series called Rock Solid, and he did part 4 yesterday. It's dope. I go to Zion Church. My pastor is Keith Battle. If you're looking for a church home, definitely go. If you're more so in the virtual world, you rather look at church online, you go to Zion Anywhere, just amazing. So as I am walking to Cooper Hawks to pick up my bottles, I thought that I was picking up 4 bottles, right? 4 bottles, right? 4. So as I'm walking, I look to the right and I realize, wait, Candle Lounge. I love candles. I've never been there before. And so I went there, and it's a black owned. I love black owned. There's a black owned candle making store. So I made my own candle, and this was not planned. And I used the scents Beach Linen and Sea Salt and Amber, and it smells amazing. And I got purple because purple is my favorite color. But if you know about the different chakras, the purple chakra is for your crown, right? And so just being mindful of your thoughts, for me, being mindful of what you tell yourself, that is important. And I got glitter because I like to have a little razzle dazzle to my life. And then when I went to Cooper Hawks, I thought I had 4 bottles. And when the lady looked up my membership, she's like, ma'am, you have 8. I was like, God is good. God is good. So that's all I wanted to say. But I want to get into what I want to say today. One, it's going to be lessons from the service, from church. And then and it's not going to be in order. Lessons from church, and how do you deal with things that are triggering? How do you know if something triggered you? How do you know if you're able to overcome what has triggered you? And the importance of good relationships. So, and I think to kind of tie into what my pastor said and things that I've been praying to God about. So, this hat, it says Damn Gina. And I ordered this. Now, I'm a type of person where I feel like if I'm on like social media, things will just pop up. And it's things that I'm interested in. I'm like, I'm going to order this. I really like this hat. I remember when I first wore this hat, I wore this March 2020, right before the pandemic. And I felt fine. But then I remember another time that I wore this hat. It was in 2021, around May. I wore this hat. And I was not myself. And I just remember being at work, and I'm on my computer at my desk, and I couldn't focus. I couldn't think straight, and I was just going through cause I knew that I had to walk away from someone, and that was hard. And I just remember in therapy 2 years ago, the thing that I shared with her, I was like, I struggle with adjustments. Like, what happens when something is removed from my life? Like, how do you walk in this new normal, right? But what if that new normal is something that you need? And so I just remember wearing this hat. I had on a blue tank top shirt, and I had jeans on. And I was able to dress like that because the school year was over, and I was just there, just monitor cases, following up with clients, and so forth. And I remember just pacing back and forth in the hallway, and I was like, I need to talk to somebody. And although I was in therapy, which was fine, I needed a different conversation. And I talked to one of my girlfriends who was in my Bible study at the time. And I knew that I needed a word from her. And so I called her, and I was like, I need your help. And I just broke down crying. And she prayed with me. She prayed with me over the phone, And that was a prayer that I needed, right? And then I called my best friend and talk about it. But this hat has a lot of memories to it. And then I wore it this past Saturday. So one thing about me, I do like to dress up, especially for work. But when I am not working, I really enjoy my baseball caps, my Nike slides, and my yoga pants. Like, that is just me. Like, if you catch me in the mall, chances are I'm not dressed up. If I am dressed up, that's probably because I'm going somewhere right after the mall. But other than that, no, I'm not dressed up. But I wore this hat Saturday to go to the mall. And I remember how I felt when I wore the hat 2 years ago. But I did not let it trigger me. And I'm going to tell you why. One, that was the past. And I've learned that I can't really just focus on the past because I can't change it. What I can change is my outlook. And what I can change is my perspective. But most importantly, what I can change is what I'm going to do moving forward. I love this hat. There's no need for me to throw this away. Just because I had experiences with this hat, it does not mean that this is a bad hat. So I just want you to think about, and we actually did a meditation Saturday. And the question that was asked, I was like, why are you asking about my favorite color or what's the person next to me? And what I've learned about triggering moments is that, yes, sometimes they're really hard to relive and you don't want to relive those. But instead of reliving those moments, think about the moments that you can create now in this current moment. Yes, no one doesn't want to be hurt. I mean, no one. Who wants to be hurt? Who wants to relive the things that was hurtful, that was painful for them? But if you look at it differently and say, hey, you know what? What did I learn from this moment of pain? And what can I do to have joy? But then it goes to my next point, and this is something that my pastor said in church. Sometimes when we're hurt, we can focus on the person that did hurt us instead of focus on what hurt us. Because sometimes people that hurt us, they're just a vessel for a bigger issue. And I remember telling my therapist, my current therapist, this. I was like, sometimes I will look at, yes, this hurts, and I can like point to a person, but deep down I had to point to myself. And I was like, my pastor said this, he was like, sometimes it's not, instead of focus on who hurt you, focus on what hurt you. So let's say that, hypothetically speaking, let's say that you broke up with someone, or let's say that you lost your job, or you got in a big argument with someone that hurt you. Instead of focusing on the person, focus on the actual hurt. What is it? And I guarantee you that most times it's deeper and bigger than the person that hurt you. And sometimes it's a reflection of what we need to heal. It's a reflection of what is actually broken within us. What is actually broken. One of the biggest things with me is being impeccable with your word. That is something big to me. And I shared this with my therapist. I was like, this is something big to me. Someone that is impeccable with their word, say what they mean what they say. And I hate broken promises. And I had to really dig deep. And it's those moments where I'm just by myself. I'm like, why do I feel this way? Why is it that when someone doesn't show up how I expected them to, yes, there is a disappointment, but what is bigger than that? And I remember as a kid, people promising me so much stuff and it never came to pass. And yes, as a kid, that hurts. And as an adult, I didn't understand where that came from until I really had to sit with myself. So now for me, it's really changing the expectation. Hey, if you could come, great. If you can't come, that's fine. But it's learning how to change the expectations of people. But when you really dig deep about what hurts and you work on the root of the problem, you tend to focus less on the person. Now, when it comes to the person, sometimes people can be intentional with their hurt. But sometimes people are not intentional because they don't know what hurts you. They don't know until you have a conversation. And what I've learned is that you learn a lot about a person based on what they say, what they do. But most important, you get a chance to know people based on the questions that are being asked. And so sometimes we have this expectation of what we think people are, what they should do, but we never ask the questions, right? We never ask those like specific questions to really understand a person. And then I will say, what is the life that you want? We all have the ability to make and create the life that we want. And the question is, are you creating it? Are you putting yourself in spaces or around people to create the life that you pray for, right? To create the life that you pray for. And it's so funny because going to therapy now, most of it is like telehealth and you're virtual. And my therapist was at the event this Saturday that I was at. And to some people, that may have been like, I don't want people to know I go to therapy, but I embraced it. As we were standing near each other talking and people were coming by talking to both of us, I'm like, hey, this is my therapist. And if you need somebody, go to her. And I wasn't afraid, right? I wasn't afraid to say that I go to therapy. And it's funny because somebody that I grew up with, she's like an aunt. And we were sending each other messages on Facebook. And I forgot what she said, but I was like, yeah, my therapist is amazing. And the thing that she said was, I know I need to go to therapy if you go. And then it makes me think, how do people perceive me, right? Yes, I'm a happy person. The events that I tell you that I do and where I go, that is actually real. If I told you that I had a good weekend, yes, I had a good weekend. If I tell you that I'm sad, yeah, I'm sad. But just because I go to therapy, it doesn't mean that something is just like wrong with me, but it's just a matter of being my best self and going to therapy to deal with people that don't want to go to therapy. And my candle that I got, I had to name this. So when you go to the Candle Lounge, there's a selection of 90s music that you can listen to, and the candles are named with 90s songs. And so she was like, what do you want to name your candle? Be creative. I love Lauryn Hill. I love Neo Soul. And the name of this candle is called The Miseducation of Sakina. It's so funny how people perceive me. Some people perceive me as... When I went to the event, someone was like, honestly, I thought you were like a celebrity. Like, yeah, I'm just here and I'm like being supportive. And some people hear my title and think this is how I am, right? They just had this idea like attorneys are this and that. It's nothing really positive until they have a conversation with me. Or some people think like, hey, I have it all together all the time. And I can honestly tell you that I have it together sometimes, and sometimes I don't. And I shared this with one of my girlfriends, and I shared this with my therapist that, you know, in this stage of my life, I may not emote as much to my girlfriends. And that's only because I have like a process of how I communicate my emotions and my feelings. First, I talk to God. Second, I talk to my therapist. Then I talk to my best friend first. And then after that, I don't need an intervention, right? I don't need everyone trying to come together to say, hey, let's talk about your feelings. No, because I really process those things. And most times after therapy, I don't find myself really being as expressive unless I want to hear somebody else's point of view. So most times it's my best friend and my brother. Those are the two people that I talk to often about my feelings. But the miseducation, how people may perceive me, which is fine, and that's okay how you may perceive me, but I'm here to tell you that I'm normal. I have feelings. I cry at times for happy moments. Sometimes when I'm in church, it like something just gets to me and I cry. I'm not afraid to say something hurts. I'm not afraid to tell people that, hey, I'm proud of you. I'm not afraid to tell myself that I'm proud of myself. There's been times where I didn't want to get out of bed. There's been times where I could not really accept the person that I am because I felt like something needed to be worked on. But I realized that I have all the answers within me. The life that I want, the people that I choose in my life, I have all the answers. And it's up to me to really trust myself. And I do. And that's why I love this name of this candle. And it's funny because the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, I feel like that song on the track, that's something that's like skipped over. But if you really listen to the song and really read the lyrics, it's perfect, right? And to find your own destiny. And I just feel like the life that I want, it's there and I could create it. I just have to trust myself and know that it will happen. This will pass. But that's all I have, guys. I hope that this message blesses you as it blessed me as I was speaking to you. And I do hope that whenever you are hurt, instead of focus on who hurt you, I pray that you focus on what hurts and really dig deep and heal that. And to all the men, it's 8 o'clock. I need to rush and get off of here. But to all the men, I just want to say that I hope and pray that you do find people that create safe spaces for you and for you to be expressive and express your feelings, because your feelings do matter. To all the men that confide in me, and to be honest with you, most people that come to me, whether it's by a DM or text to say how they listen to my Monday morning chats, are men. And so for the men that listen to me, I want you to know, like, I'm your biggest advocate. Like, I do pray for the men that listen to me. I do pray for the men that's in my life, my brothers, my best friends, my father, my uncles. I pray for them. I pray for their mental health. I pray for their overall well-being. So all the men out there, thank you, right? And I hope that when you listen to these messages, I do hope that it does help you. And to everybody else, I do pray the same. But I just had to give a special shout out to men because it is Monday. That's all I have, guys. Have a great day. And I'll see you next week. Take care.